Hola, Sara. Thank you so much that you are here today at our Butterfly Garden oder in Deutsch Schmetterlingsgarten here in Preungesheim, Frankfurt am Main in Germany. We are so glad that you are our second guest here and the first interview in English, so that's really, really cool. Thank you so much that you're with us, and you also gave us today a great twerking workshop. It was so much fun, and now I know that twerking is a whole body workout. It was amazing. The Butterfly Garden is our garden where we want to find out through artistic research what does the butterfly mean to us, this community here, the neighbors, Frankfurt, and maybe the whole society, but also what does the butterfly wants to tell us. Maybe you can say, tell me what butterfly means in Spanish.
In Spanish, butterfly is mariposa, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think now we know that you are Spanish speaking. So you are a Colombian dancer and social worker in the field of migration.
Yeah.
And you just finished your master's degree, so congratulations on that. Really, really cool. And your research, social and artistic interventions, they focus on embodied practices of agency, resistance and decolonization. Very interesting. And yeah. Also, you do the workshops, as I just mentioned, with dancing and twerking. And these are a place to exchange about feminism and experience collective healing and community building. And today with the special metaphor of the butterfly and its transformation. Sara, maybe you can tell me what kind of transformation people can experience throughout dancing.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to Frankfurt, for having me, and I'm really, really happy to be part of this project. That is very nice. It's very empowering to be here finally and to see it live. So yeah, I think like dancing as a artistic expression, it has a lot to do with the physical body, but also a lot to do with the emotional and symbolic body. So it is obvious that when you move your body, then you are like working out, like doing some exercise. But when we go more like to the biology, so to say, when we dance, our brain liberates different types of endorphins and hormones that are very good for us or that makes us feel happy, comfortable, etc., etc. So this is like from the biological part. That's already a transformation, because when you are in a low mood and then you dance or you do something that is good for your brain, then you immediately change your mood. So it has a lot to do with the emotions, but also dancing is a way of communication, which is what I am emphasizing on. Dancing is a way of communication between bodies, and it's a non-verbal communication, which is very powerful because you don't need any words, and that means that you can express yourself freely through dancing. And you can connect with other people through dancing. You can create bondings, you can create connections, you can create communities. So in many places in the global south, for example in Latin America, dancing means a way of community building in many cases. It's also a way of releasing the tensions, the stress from the daily life. So I think the transformation that you can make through dancing goes in very different levels. And especially I would say dancing connects you with your own body, and it helps you to understand your body completely, not only your mind but also your body itself. How do you feel? If you are feeling any tension in your body, how can you release this tension? How can you connect with others? So the transformation happens in many different levels from my point of view.
Wow, thank you. So I imagine now you as a child also already dancing. Maybe you can tell me, when did you start dancing, and was there ever a time where you stopped, and did you realize it, or do you just dance through your whole life?
Yeah, the first time I danced, I think I was 5 years old, and since then I was dancing my whole childhood. Then when I was a teenager as well, in Colombia, I was in a Catholic school where the arts were very important in our education. So we had the possibility to be part of a dance group, and there I learned most of the things I know, because we learned different dance styles, techniques. We performed a lot. Then when I was in the university, I kept doing it. And then when I came to Germany, I think it really changed a lot, because I was used to perform a lot when I was in Colombia. I was used to be part of a group, of a community. And when I came here, it was kind of like a breaking in this part of my identity, so to say. Because I was not performing, I was like trying to deal with the daily life here in Germany, learning the language, going to university, working. So it really felt like a part of my identity was not there anymore, because I couldn't perform. So I tried to keep it like more for myself, like in my room I was dancing and stuff, but I really missed this dancing with other people. But then I decided to start this project, because I thought I really want to create something. I really want to bring people together. I want to bring a part of my roots, of my culture to this country, and also to include the feminist perspective, which is very important for me, because I feel in the artistic scene many times women are like very or we are taught to be competitive, to compete against each other, and you can see this a lot in the world of dance. So I wanted to create a space where there was no competition but solidarity, and people cheering each other up and working together. So then I created this project in Würzburg, and then I felt like, okay, I am not performing as much as I used to, but now I'm teaching, and now I am sharing my knowledge and my experience with other people. So it really changed, but it's also a beautiful gift.
Yeah, that's great. Your project is called Feminist Twerking, and I was happy to be a part of the workshop today, and I really got this community building, and the way you did everything so that we felt like the togetherness and hyping each other up and not competing with each other. So that was very cool and nice. And yeah, why do you think that twerking is an important way to express or experience this transformation? And how does feminism play a role in this? You just mentioned a little bit about it already, but maybe you can give us more about the backstory, history of twerking and feminism.
Well, it's very interesting, because the history, you can trace it like since, I don't know, before colonial times. So I was mentioning this in the workshop today. There is a lot of research on how people from the African continent, indigenous communities in Africa, perform different types of dances for different purposes. Like could be fertility, for I don't know, community, like joy within the community, or when someone gets married, or when someone is pregnant, for example, or to connect with the nature and so on. So in the East African culture, there is a type of dance called mapuka, performed by women, in which women are all the time doing these movements with their hips and the pelvis up and down, up and down. And these dances, these rituals, came together during colonial times with enslaved people, with the African enslaved people. They brought this with them. They they took their rituals, their dances, their music with them to the Americas in order to keep connected with their land, but also as a way of resistance, as a way of saying, yeah, you are taking everything from us. You are even bringing us to a place that is unknown. You are even exploiting us, but we are not going to forget our traditions and our dances. So then these dances became like a way of resistance in the Americas, and then during time they got transformed, and still people from the diaspora, and especially in Latin America, because it's where I come from, we have a very strong and diverse dance styles that have an African background, or that come from African people, and very interestingly, these moves are like involving the hips a lot, and like these circular movements up and down, like very strong movements. So it's also like related to strength. But continuing with the story, then in the 90s, people from New Orleans in the US and in New York, in different parts, Black American people, especially people from marginalized communities, poor communities, started creating a lot of different movements, like hip hop. Then rap also became like something very big, and then this new dance that people started performing in the neighborhoods or in the ghettos. And then it became like a big thing, for Black people. And in our case, in Latin America, we also perform this type of dances. So it has always been there. It's nothing new. It's not that, as I was saying today, it's not that in 2013 Miley Cyrus did it for the first time or perform it. Then everyone was like super excited and surprised. But it has always been there. These movements of the hips have always been there, and they come from the African continent, and it's important that we acknowledge this, because it has a lot to do with the people who started this movement and the reasons why they started it. So in the Latin American context, moving your hips is like very important when you dance, or it's like something that you feel when you hear the music, when you hear the beats, when you hear the drums. It's like something in your body is telling you to do that. And then it's like connecting really with this part of your body, which is very powerful, and that for me was very interesting to see that in the Western world, or like in the global North, this connection doesn't always exist, because there is like this division between mind and body, and rational and emotional. And I can see in the workshops that many times people are very disconnected from the hips. So yeah, it's also for me a way to show people that they already have these moves within themselves. They just need to connect more with their own body. So that's why for me it's connected to feminism, because it has a lot to do with the body. It has a lot to do with community, with accepting and getting to know your body. It's about also talking about sexuality, erotism, how do we feel comfortable. I try to make this a safe space for everyone, so they feel comfortable dancing and they don't feel judged by anyone. Yeah.
Very nice. I just wanted to ask you, when did you start twerking? But I think, as you explained it, right now it's more like you were raised in a community where the movement of the hips is there. Is this true?
Yeah, it's there. I have to say, like when we dance merengue, bachata, reggaeton, but twerking itself, because it kind of, the movements became like a trend in the last years. I started like officially taking classes when I was in Colombia, then like learning another type of technique that was like complementing what I already knew from my background.
So that's such an interesting thing that you brought this here to Germany and create the space again, also a way to remember your home country and your own backstory and the history of many people. So that's very interesting. And there are a lot of people also in Germany that come new to the country, and you work with them. And also maybe you can tell us if you're dancing with them, and if this dancing is a way to connect with each other, even though there might be cultural differences and also maybe a language barrier.
Yeah, so I currently work in a shelter for refugees. Most of them come from Syria, Ukraine, Afghanistan. And with them we also danced. We don't work because I think it's very interesting also and important to acknowledge that these people, as everyone, they have a knowledge already in their bodies. They also bring here their dances, their music, their traditions. So instead of me saying, yeah, we are going to do this, it's more like an exchange of what you already know, especially with the women. So it's very interesting to see that many of these movements are shared. You know, for example, the shimmy in the shoulders. Many people from the Middle East, they do it all the time when they dance, or also the shimmy in the hips. And for me, it's very interesting to see that, for example, people also dance in the circle, and they like hold the fingers, and we all dance in the circle. Which is kind of like a safe space, and that's what I'm also trying to do in the classes, that we dance in the circle to feel more like comfortable. So in this specific field of migration, I think dancing has a lot of potential to help people to release a lot of emotions, even to process trauma, I can say from my own experience. And because many times when you come to Germany, you are a foreigner, you don't speak the language, you feel like uprooted, that you don't belong. And then finding a safe space, or a space with people who have like a similar background, people who also don't speak German or English, then the only language you have is your own body. So expressing yourself through the body really helped to break this barrier of not understanding each other. And in my job specifically with the kids and with the mothers, I think the body language plays a very big role to break this barrier and to connect with each other. And for me, it's very interesting to see how the kids, I play the music, and their immediate reaction is like start dancing. So there is a lot of pain, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of emotions in this context. And I think when you have a tool like dancing to connect with yourself after feeling uprooted because you are here in Germany and you don't know anything, this is like a very important tool. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. So I can't even imagine how it is to come to a new country and have a different culture around you. You experienced it, and you just said like the dancing was a way to get through trauma or pain as well. Maybe if you want to, you can share like a moment about it where you really experienced this. Wow, this helped me now. Yeah.
I think since I came to Germany, I feel like there was a breaking point when my grandmother died 2 years ago, and I was not able to go to Colombia. I was not able to be with my family. I couldn't say goodbye to my grandmother. This was like a very big emotional moment for me, because I had to unlearn grieving. I had to create a new ways of grieving, because we usually grieve with the family. We have the funeral, we have this like rituals, and I didn't have any of this. So dancing was my way to connect with my grandmother. I remember I was in my room in Würzburg in the winter, dancing to the music that my grandmother used to like, and this was my way to cope with this feeling of frustration of not being there, also like sadness and so on. So it helped me a lot to process all of this, and also kind of to tell my grandmother like goodbye. So I think in these processes also dancing can help you a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for this insight. For me, that's just a beautiful picture that the grandma who is part of your body as well, you embodied it again through dancing, through the music she listened to, and but now it's you, and you are here and you're alive. And what I think is so fascinating in your story is also the way you transformed your experiences. Like you just told us, you danced in school, and now you're dancing with people here from very different cultures, and you really empower them and have this community in mind and have like a healing space, as well as you experienced healing for yourself through dancing. So I think you're like a mariposa Latina also, who is there for the to have people in mind and the healing of the people. So that's beautiful, and we know some more butterflies, the mariposas. These are the Mirabal sisters. These are 3 or 4 sisters that were killed in 1960 on the 25th of November because they worked against Trujillo, the dictator of this time, and they worked in the underground, and their code name was mariposas, so the butterfly. And now the 25th of November is called the International Day for Elimination against the violence against women. So this is just so interesting that this butterfly means this. And I wanted to ask you if you celebrate this 25th of November in Colombia.
Yeah, this is a very important date for the feminist movement in Latin America. We commemorate the 25th of November every year. We take to the streets. It's like massive protests, not only in Colombia but in general in Latin America. It became for us a way to, first of all, to trace the stories of women like the Mirabal sisters, who were killed by the dictatorship in the Dominican Republic, and to think about all the women who have been killed, not only for political reasons, for being against politicians and dictators, but also against any type of violence against women. So yeah, the 25th for us is a way to say that we don't forget these women, first of all, and second of all to say we keep resisting as they did, and we do it now because the situation of women in Latin America is very precarious, is very complex, is very unsafe, especially if you are indigenous, black, peasant woman. So when we put all these layers together, then it creates like a really big, like a blanket, so to say, of inequalities.
So of course you're not an expert on this, but you can speak from your own experience for the rights or the situation for women in Colombia or Latin America and here in Germany. Did you find differences?
Yeah, there are a lot of differences. I remember the first thing I realized when I came to Germany was that I had an internalized fear and an internalized, like, something in my brain that was telling me when I go on the streets alone late, I have to always check if there is someone. I cannot, like, I was scared, I remember, to go in the bus or to walk alone late because unfortunately in Colombia the violence against women on the streets it's crazy. The sexual harassment on the streets is something that we experience on a daily basis. It doesn't matter what you are wearing, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter if you are I don't know, a young or old woman, you will probably experience sexual harassment in the public space, also in the public transport and stuff. And here in Germany there is a feeling or a sense of safety, like you can go outside and you don't think about this. You don't think about, like, yeah, maybe someone is coming, I have to take my stuff, I have to go fast. Or you are not maybe scared of going in the bus and feeling like someone is going to touch you or someone is going to tell you things. So I feel we really, especially in Colombia, I come from the capital, it's a very big city, we live with fear, and no one deserves to live with fear, you know. Yeah. So even the younger girls, they cannot freely live their lives because there is always someone who has to check up on them, go with them, accompany them. So it feels like you need like a companion all the time. Yeah. Preferable men, so then nothing is going to happen to you. But unfortunately it still happens, and we have in Colombia one of the highest rates of feminicides. I think after Mexico and Honduras, if I am right, and these cases happen in the homes, within the family. The family members, the friends, the partners, their ex-partners. It's not something random. It's nothing isolated from each other. These cases is systematic violence against women.
And where do you think that this violence starts? Do you have any idea?
I think it's very complex. Because of course we live in a patriarchal system, so the institutions, including the education system, the church, the family, are like embedded in this system. So I think there are a lot of things that are interconnected. Many cultural patterns, traditions. Also, sometimes the religion has a lot to do with this idea of women having to be submissive to men, having to be quiet, having to be to take care of the children, to stay at home, and this stuff. So I think it's a very like interconnectedness of a lot of factors the economic structures, the economic inequality, state like violence from the state also, because the most sad part of this is that women who suffer violence in their homes, they like 90% of them, they go to the authorities and they tell what's happening, but the authorities don't do anything. So this violence keeps escalating until the highest point, which is feminicide, and then there is no justice also. So women cannot go, they cannot trust the authorities, they cannot trust the state, the institutions are supposed to protect them. So it's at the low level, at the middle, and then at the institutional level.
Yeah, our research started with this butterfly in epoxy tarts, and for us this was such a feeling that we experienced while looking at this and seeing it, because the butterfly is such a beautiful animal, and everybody thinks it's, or most people really like it and think it's beautiful, and this one is dead and it was killed, so its beauty would be there for forever maybe, and for us this felt like there were two feelings. One, it's so beautiful, and on the other hand, it's not alive anymore. And so we, before that, we were at Trinkhallen, like at a kiosk, and we're interviewing women. How do they feel, and if they get some certain kind of looks that are don't feel good or like are sexual, because I think it's a topic, as you just mentioned, it's so complex. It's not like, if you hit a woman, it's violence, but it's maybe already the glance that is putting her down, or killing something. And for us, this was such an interesting way to find out how women feel and what can be described for something where there are you can put the finger on it. And the butterfly also has those butterfly eyes to defend himself, like he's not a caterpillar anymore, it's already transformed, and it has its defense mechanisms, and the birds or other animals, they will be scared if the butterfly takes his space up. And now I'm wondering, what kind of defense mechanisms do you think women have, or people that are discriminated? Can you tell something?
Yeah, I think in Spanish we have a word that I don't think it's translatable to English, or I don't know. It's sororidad, and which means solidarity amongst women. And I think that's the most powerful tool that we have. Since we cannot trust the institutions, since we cannot trust the justice, since we cannot trust the education system, then we have to work with each other. We have to build this solidarity between women, that we build safe spaces for us, that we take care of each other, that we help each other. And I think this is what feminism is about, like being there for each other, and also questioning, problematizing, unlearning these patterns in our society that keep the idea that women should be in an inferior position, or that we are just like that our bodies can be sexualized or reduced to sexual purposes, for example. So I think the biggest tool we have is community building, is breaking with these ideas that women cannot work with each other, that we cannot be friends, that we cannot be sisters, that we have to be competitive, that we cannot help each other, that that if you don't follow certain beauty standards, then you don't fit, for example, or that your success in this society is determined by beauty or by how you look or by how you dress or the material things you have. So I think it's unlearning all these patterns that patriarchy has imposed on us and building new ways of living with each other. And also I think education has a very important role, educating ourselves, but also promoting and inviting other people, and men especially, to also question these rules and these patterns and how patriarchy affects them as well, because it's not only that it's affecting us, but it's affecting them as well. So yeah, I think that's the biggest tool we can build.
Wow, such a powerful message at the end. I have one last question. Is there anything you would like to say to the butterfly?
I think the butterfly has a very powerful process, because it starts with something very small and it doesn't look so like pretty, maybe, I don't know, and it requires a lot of time to break this what's the name, the cocoon, exactly, and to start growing. And I think community processes, social processes are like that. At the beginning it can be one person, two person, it can be uncomfortable, it can be difficult, but then with time and with a lot of love then it will start growing. And I also feel like butterflies, when you see them, you immediately have like this feeling of, wow, this is so powerful because it's colorful and because it's flying. And I think it has a lot to do with feminism also. And I can bring again the example of Las Mariposas, because even though they were killed, their message and their struggle is still alive. So you can kill, we say you can kill you can cut the tree or or you can cut the leaves, but you will never cut the roots. So they will still grow. So we will still grow even when we are underground.
Vivan las mariposas. Muchas gracias, Sara. It was really, really nice to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you all for the invitation. And yeah, it's also an invitation for people and for the feminist movement here in Germany to learn more about the 25th of November and to to maybe read the history. And I forgot to say that for us the 25th of November is also very important, because it became a date for us to get together around the topic of abortion. I brought here the aborto libre, like free abortion. So yeah, for us it also became a topic, this sexual rights, reproductive rights, and how women have the chance to decide over their bodies or not. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.